Welcome back to the Nitech Sports Center, folks. We sincerely apologize for the issues we've been having all evening long with the fast hockey audio and with the YouTube audio. Unfortunately, some of these things are a bit beyond our control at the moment. We've got Nitech Sports Center IT looking into the issues as we speak. Just to give you a bit of an update, I know we've got YouTube working, but I'm not sure if Fast Hockey's audio is back up yet. But to our YouTube listeners, we thank you sincerely for your patience, and again, we apologize for the issues we've been having here at Nitech. Seems just about every time we come here, there's something that goes wrong that we didn't expect. But just to give you YouTube listeners a bit of an update as to where we're at, we're about 2.5 minutes out of second period action here at Nitech. 1-1 the score, 14-5 the shots in favor of the Lone Star Brahmas, who really just dominated that period from start to finish. The Wildcats extremely fortunate to be even in this game, let alone be tied 1-1. Andre Paisan actually opened the scoring on the first Wildcats shot on goal. He sniped it far side on Corbin Kaspersky, the Lone Star netminder. Paisan had his fourth goal of the year with the tally. He was quickly answered by Oscar Andrin of the Lone Star Brahmas. Andrin, the Lone Star leading scorer, fired a perfectly placed shot high on the glove side of Justin Kappelmaster on the power play to get the Lone Star Brahmas all tied up at 1 goal apiece. And the Wildcats have just retaken their spots on the ice, as have now the Lone Star Brahmas. The excitement rebuilding here at the Nitech Sports Center, and we're just about 90 seconds away from second period puck drop. Stay tuned. Welcome back, folks. We're just about a half a minute away from second period action, brought to you by American Classifieds. The Wildcats, with the words of Coach LaFontaine ringing in their ears, are really hoping to respond and put forth a better effort this period. They were absolutely demoralized in that first frame. That was probably the most I've seen them outplayed all season long. 14-5 with the shots on goal. Not sure that even does it justice. The Lone Star Brahmas were playing as if they were men, and the Wildcats were boys. But with a new period comes new opportunity, and the Wildcats looking to capitalize here in period 2 and turn things a bit in their favor. They can go nowhere but up after a period like that. Here's a rink-wide pass in the Wildcat zone. A long wrist shot from the point, stopped by Kappelmaster, and the second chance rolls wide. Rosa goes up the middle of the ice and is fed a beautiful pass there by Austin Albrecht, but it was a bit of a suicide pass as Rosa was run into immediately thereafter. Rosa got it back and flung it rink-wide for Albrecht, who dumps it into the Lone Star zone. It goes behind the Brahmas net. Kappelmaster touches it back to his defenseman, and here comes Bud Madej. Madej through neutral ice, fires it around the end boards, and Hines goes after it, collides with Fallon. Patava picks up the loose puck and kicks it in behind the Wichita Falls net. Dalton on his backhand, works it up to Albrecht, left wing side, springs it into the neutral zone and out to the Lone Star end. Nikita Litviak just runs into Cam Clark behind the Lone Star net. Or check that, it's Sean Giles, rather. Litviak trying to wedge it loose. In there deep is Goodsir as well. Finally, it's batted free by Goodsir in behind the net, and Giles gets right back on him, and the puck is frozen, and finally, it's picked up for good, and Cam Clark sends it to the right side for Kyle Patava. Peter Kessel sidesteps Michael Rounds across the ice. Wickline is in. He shoots. What a save by Kappelmaster. Aggressive goaltending denied. Cody Wickline behind the goal now is picked up by Beaulieu, who will skate it down his left wing side and spring Ben Lown. Lown on his off wing. Goodsir goes for a change, rather. Lown tried to drop it off for Beaulieu, intercepted by Kessel. Kessel sends it the other way. The linesman was split there by Bates, and Rounds goes behind the Wildcats net, comes loose. Melberg drops it off to the point. Kelly's long shot, or Skelly's rather, missed the net, and it's corralled by Peter Bates. Backhanded in behind the net, a centering attempt didn't work out. It's loose in behind and picked up by Max Reisinger, and the Wildcats' longest tenured player turns it over. A turnaround shot by Patava missed high, held in John Zimmerman, guided in behind the net, hoping for Peter Bates. Instead, he got Michael Rounds. Reisinger takes a chop at it, can't get it up, or out, up the wall, and Lown will finally chop it out to center and beyond. And finally, the Wildcats can get the rest of their line changed. And what have we here? This might be a penalty against the Lone Star Brahmas. Looks like interference will be called. Seemed to be a harmless play there. Looks like the Brahmas, it looked like they were just going back to get an icing, or touch up for an icing, and instead it's going to be a penalty against the Lone Star Brahmas. John Zimmerman heads to the Lone Star sin bin for the first time tonight. The Wildcats have a chance on the Jim Arnold Collision power play, which has been at the top of the North American Hockey League all season long. And the Wildcats trying to keep it that way here on this man advantage. All components of the 20s line are out on the ice. Johnny Lazarus, Nick Rosa, and Austin Albrecht, but Rosa lost the faceoff. Paisan stymies a man in the corner there in Bud Midday. Puck comes loose, far half boards, kept in far point by Jeff Baum, who did extremely well to keep the puck alive there. Austin Albrecht puts on the brakes, sends it across. Lazarus shoots, pad save Kaspersky, picked up in the corner. The Brahmas will try to clear, and they do. Baum just couldn't keep it in at the left point, and it goes all the way down the ice. Kappelmaster drops the puck off, and now here's Jeff Baum. Albrecht gets it once more, sends it rink wide onto Johnny Lazarus' stick, and here's Nick Rosen across the line. Left it for Albrecht, sharp angle shot, stopped by Kaspersky, who had the paddle down all the way there, and Jeff Baum holds it at the blue line. Andre Paisan turns and shoots, redirected by Rosa. Second chance, stopped again by Kaspersky. It's loose in the blue paint and picked up by Lazarus. Guided on back to Baum, walks the blue line, gives it back to Lazarus. Lazarus tries to feed it across amidst a maze of Brahmas sticks, and they were able to pick off the centering attempt and clear the puck all the way down. Half of the Wildcats' Jim Arnold Collision power play has been killed by the Lone Star Brahmas, who are tied up 1-1 with the Cats and lead 16-7 in the shots department. Here's Alexei Poikla. Gains the Lone Star line, feeds it across for Nikita Litviak at the left circle. Litviak guides it on back to Michael Rounds, who shot through traffic, missed the net wide on the short side. Adam Goodsir picks it up behind the Lone Star Brahmas net. Goodsir still has his stick tied up, and the puck was slid back to Rounds, and it missed him from Poikla, so it goes all the way down. Kappelmaster with another touch on the puck, and half a minute remaining on the Jim Arnold Collision power play for the Cats. Michael Rounds missed Adam Goodsir with the outlet pass, and that one's going to go for icing against Wichita Falls, and they have looked just out of sorts here tonight, folks. Not their best effort in the slightest, and their power play hasn't looked much better. Certainly has not looked like one that's been at the top of the North American Hockey League for as long as it has been. Last season, of course, LaFontaine's Cats led the entire league in power play percentage with an even 25% rate this season. Just shy of that, 23.8. But it looks like they will drop their first man advantage as just a dozen seconds remain on it, and they rush the puck in across the Lone Star line. Poikla fed it in front for Litviak, who is stymied by Zimmerman. Litviak is handcuffed in the corner there and tries to work it on back. Davidson trying to knock it off his stick, and I believe this puck has been frozen. It was pinned up down there for quite a few seconds, about 10 seconds in a row, so the ref blows the whistle. And LaFontaine will send out the even strength lines once more. To take this offensive zone faceoff, Garrett Van Wy steps into the left circle, and 1 second remains on the John Zimmerman penalty, who is just standing in the box with his hand on the door handle, just waiting to rejoin his team. Garrett Van Wy in the left circle. Face-off not won cleanly by either side. The Brahmas end up with it, however. Wickline coughs it up. It goes behind the Lone Star net. Dalton Skelly slams on the brakes, turns away from Reisinger's forecheck. Puck held in left point by Gilraith, slapped behind the net. Lown scoops it up, tries to cycle it down low, and he does. Reisinger backhands one towards an empty corner, now occupied by Garrett Van Wy. Van Wy looks in front. He's pinned to the corner boards, and again, a puck battle ensues down there, and it's knocked out to center. Here's Jake Dalton. Next, Reisinger. Garrett Van Wy chipped it up, tried to pass it to himself in that situation. It didn't work out. So Zimmerman will take it over behind his own net. Skelly for Kessel, who slams it off the boards and out into the neutral zone. Dalton fires it right back in. Kyle Pataba now. And John Zimmerman with about 6.5 minutes gone by, and the score still tied up at 1. Kyle Pataba's long-range shot from the blue line missed the net wide. Russell dodges a check. Puck played out to center. Berardinelli drops it off, and a touch pass is redirected into the offensive zone there by Cameron Clark. Or Cody Wickline, rather. Now Wickline goes to the bench for a line change as the puck battle ensues in behind the Lone Star Brahmas net. Guided back to the left point. Rourke Russell with some time and space. He tries to fire through traffic. There were about 8 bodies in that lane, so it didn't go through. And Jeff Baum will take over in his own zone. Baum saucers the puck out to neutral ice. Austin Albrecht for Adam Goodsir, who coughed it up at the blue line. A long-range home run pass just hopped over the stick of Berardinelli, or he would have had a clear-cut breakaway, and it rolled harmlessly on goal. Kappelmaster stopped it. 13:57 remain in period 2. 1-1 the score. The goals being scored by 2 Scandinavians, Andre Paisan for the Wildcats and Oscar Andrin for the Lone Star Brahmas. 16-7 are the shots on goal. Still a pretty big discrepancy there. And pretty surprising. The Wildcats have not been outshot by a margin like that in quite some time. Adam Goodsir's line is back out there to take this defensive zone draw as Oscar Andrin goes over strategy with his center, Peter Bates. Bates against Goodsir in the circle to the left of Kappelmaster. Goodsir being kicked again and swapped again with Austin Volio. Puck is lifted out to center and beyond. Giles is going to go after it. Icing being waved off here. Goodsir rams Giles into the boards. Bolio had a blowout. Goodsir knocks it loose. Bates gets it, however. Bates backhands one around the end boards in the Lone Star zone. Cam Clark aiding his fellow defenseman in behind the Lone Star net. Comes free to the left point. Hines swings it D-to-D for Michael Rounds. Played towards the corner. Went off Bolio's right skate and hopped back out into center. Hines has to hurry back, and here's Austin Bolio. Right down the middle. Drops it off for Goodsir, whose shot was stopped by Kaspersky. He had some daylight there on the short side. Kaspersky shut the door. Litviak backhands it behind the net. Clark is going to beat Goodsir to the puck, or beat Bolio to it, but the Brahmas have just fired it all the way down. No icing as it was on goal. Kappelmaster plays it for Matt Hines. Hines fired a rink-wide pass off Burnett's stick and into the offensive zone. Poikula goes over there to keep the puck alive. He fails to do so, and here's Carson Kelly on the tape for Marabella. Slams on the brakes, trickles it in behind Kappelmaster's crease. Hogan Davidson picks it up, turns on his backhand, and wheels it in behind. Carson Kelly cycles it back to the blue line. Kept alive, a long point shot, missed the net wide. Bounced into the near corner. Poikula ratchets back. Poikula spins it around there for Noah Gilraith. Wedged further by Paisan. Paisan is stymied at the point by Davidson. Whacked back out into neutral ice, and Zimmerman has to recover. Zimmerman will shoot it back around the end boards, and Kappelmaster stops it there behind his goal. Gilraith goes D-to-D for Dalton now behind the Wildcats net. Dalton will try to spring one into neutral ice. Hopped off Paisan's stick and onto Burnett. There he goes down the right wing side. Paisan to the net. Burnett holds. He centers. Broken up there by Carson Kelly's stick on the back check. And Gilraith's second chance was blocked. Didn't get through. Pataba now plays it safely behind his own net, but it was picked off by Ryan Burnett. Burnett with his head up. Cycles it in behind again. Zimmerman wheels it down there, and Carson Kelly fanned on the outlet pass. Reisinger pressures him on the forecheck. Kelly and Skelly both trying to take it from Reisinger. Finally comes loose, and Hogan Davidson near the end of a shift fails to clear. Russell keeps it in, at least temporarily. Skelly's got another chance to clear the puck. This is his third chance in the same shift. And this time, he'll be able to do so. Zimmerman shoots it out into neutral ice. Jeff Baum intercepts. The Wildcats look to launch a counterattack. Ben Lounge on the right wing side holds and shoots one off the stick of Skelly and out of play. 11:16 remain in period 2. 1-1 the score. 16-8 are the shots on goal. The Lone Star Brahmas doubling the Cats in that department, but it's all evened up in the score that matters, 1-1. The goals being scored by Andre Paisan and Oscar Andrin, respectively, both in the first period. The Wildcats have certainly picked up their tempo and their pace in period 2, but still don't believe they deserve to be tied in this game. That's how bad of a first period they had. Bud Madej for Troy York. Troy York for Alex Berardinelli. Dumps it past Russell. Jeff Baum hurries back. Puck bounces into the middle. Lazarus fans on the clearing attempt, and it's picked up by Joey Fallon. Fallon cycles the wagons. Good stick check by Lazarus. Fired across the ice on a rink-wide pass. Madej is stymied there by Rosa. Hops in behind and towards the corner. Berardinelli rescues it back to Bud Madej. His shot tipped. Didn't get through. Puck was loose in the slot. Picked up by Lazarus and cleared out to center. Good poke check by Austin Albrecht, who knocked it free off Bud Madej's stick. Albrecht goes in behind the Lone Star net with it. Lazarus is run into by Bud Madej. Lazarus cycles it around the far half boards. Held in Russell. Given D-to-D towards Jeff Baum, or at least in his direction. It wasn't a very good pass because Russell had to hurry. He was pressured there. He did well just to turn and keep it in. Here's Bud Madej, meanwhile. The Wildcats in the midst of a change, and the Brahmas looking to catch him in the midst of it. Alex Berardinelli flies down the right wing side, puts on the brakes and shoots. It goes wide on the short side. Joey Fallon's been out there a while. He's harassed there by Adam Goodser, who kicks it out to center and falls down. Right back on the puck, however, is Martin Melberg, who flops it wide of the goal as we've crossed the halfway point of period 2, and a penalty will be called against the Brahmas, but Litviak retaliated against Martin Melberg, and we might have a little something extra here, folks. A clear-cut interference against the Lone Star Brahmas, and Litviak may have just cost himself something extra. He's being escorted now to the Wildcats sin bin. There would have been a penalty undoubtedly against the Brahmas. I'm sure there still will be, but these might offset each other now. Litviak's going to have a seat in the penalty box. Hogan Davidson now discussing the call with the referee tonight, Michael Menard. Jeff Baum also being sent to the Wildcats sin bin. And Baum is not happy with the call. He just slammed the glass in frustration. He is furious down there. And we'll see what will come of this call. Pretty tough to say, folks. I didn't see a whole lot of body language from the officiating crew down there. Kappelmaster discussing the call as well with the referee, Michael Menard. Oh boy, folks, this is going to be a 5-on-3 power play for the Lone Star Brahmas. And they've got a glorious opportunity here to blow this game wide open. They have dominated since the start of the game, which is now halfway over. They're about midway through regulation time. Just crossed the 10-minute mark, and the Brahmas now with a full 5-on-3 to work with. And November's Defenseman of the Month with a puck on his stick. At the right point, goes it down low with it and goes to the net. We're going to see that all evening long. Good stick by Michael Rounds to intercept the pass from Peter Bates to Bud Madej. He wheels it in behind the net of Kaspersky, who will play the puck. 20 seconds have been killed, courtesy of Michael Rounds. Now here goes Martin Melberg down the right wing side. He's defended by Hines. He steps right past him and drops it off for Oscar Andrin. Andrin switches places with Cam Clark. Guided back down low for Cody Wickline. Wickline looks, so that's Melberg rather, goes back to Clark. Skelly wants it near point and gets it. Skelly to the corner. Oscar Andrin's got it there. Clark wants the puck now. Hammers a one-timer, stopped by Kappelmaster. Hopped into the corner. Beaulieu whacks it off the boards, and he just manages to clear it over the stick of Cam Clark, and the fans here not happy with it. But the Brahmas launch a counterattack. It is Martin Melberg in, drops it off for Clark. He holds, he put it in front, redirected just wide. Peter Bates on his backhand has to turn with it there. Peter Bates cycles the wagons and looks back to the point. Here's Dalton Skelly, goes across. Cam Clark, Martin Melberg tried to center. Good defense there by Matt Hines, but he failed to clear it. Puck wheeled in behind the Wildcats net. Peter Bates stymied by Rounds. Down goes Bates. Banked off the boards, but not out. Held in Skelly. Here's Cam Clark. Skelly wants it back. Clark moves in. Toe drag. Shoots blocked by Hines. Picked up by Andren. Just a half a minute remains on the 5-on-3. Clark goes back door. One-timer stopped by Kappelmaster again. He's got another save, his 17th of the night. Good lateral movement by Justin Kappelmaster, moving from left to right. Not sure how he even saw the puck with all the traffic in front of him, but he managed to get over in time and rob Martin Melberg on a pretty good scoring opportunity. As Goodsir wins the defensive zone face-off, Kessel guides it on back to Bud Madej. Madej at the left point. Patava's got it now. Estes lurking back door. Kessel's in front of the net. Estes gets it. He shoots wide on the far side. Quarter of a minute remains on the 5-on-3. Holding there is Patava. His shot through traffic, blocked by the other number 12 and Adam Goodsir. Bud Madej's got it left point. 10 seconds on the power play. Here's Estes giving it back. One-timer from Madej. Trickles just wide. Picked up near corner. Estes tries to guide it down low. Knocked off the stick of Estes. Back to the point. Madej breaks his stick. Goodsir fails to clear. Chopped into the air. Madej goes after it without his stick. Pushes it into the slot. What a play by Madej. The Cats have killed off the 5-on-3 successfully. And what a relief that is for the Wichita Falls Wildcats, who really were lurking in some dangerous waters there and have weathered the storm heroically. A couple of good scoring opportunities on that 5-on-3, but not sure any of which will satisfy Coach Wildfong and the Lone Star Brahmas coaching staff. Because Justin Kappelmaster is on his A game tonight, folks, and we all know what that means. He can stop just about anything when he's in that kind of zone. Here's John Zimmerman. Fires the puck into the Wildcat zone, and Jeff Baum is back to play it. Austin Albrecht chips it out to center. No, it was held in by Giles. Giles had it swatted off his stick. And now here's John Zimmerman again. Zimmerman nails one into neutral ice, and it goes beyond the reach of Fallon and all the way down. Kappelmaster's behind his own net and leaves it for Nick Rosa. Rosa plays it around the corner boards. Zimmerman holds it in, right point, fakes a slap shot. Turns it to the deep slot. Giles from straight away. His shot blocked by Lazarus and out of play. 7:04 to go in period 2. Still 1-1 the score. 18-8 are the shots on goal favoring the Lone Star Brahmas. The only goals tonight were scored first by Andre Paisan of the Cats and second by Oscar Andren of the Brahmas. And finally we get our second period media timeout. Folks, I've now just been given confirmation that Fast Hockey is up and running. Again, we sincerely apologize for the audio difficulties we've experienced a couple of times now after coming into this building. A few teams around the North American Hockey League have made the jump to high-definition streams, and with that being the case, there are going to be some compatibility issues from time to time that we're not used to seeing just yet. As Ryan Burnett takes it behind the net, and I believe he went off the side of the cage with that backhand shot. It's covered up by Kaspersky, but anyways, we hope the issues have been resolved for the remainder of this game at least, and again, we apologize and we thank you very much for your patience. Alexei Poikala to take the face-off in the circle to the right of Kaspersky. Poikala didn't know where it was. It was loose in between his skates, and Wickline manages to bank it out to center. Michael Rounds is there. Coughs it up to Patava, who had to wait. He was on a delayed offside. Kessel hadn't regained the line yet. Now Patava regroups in neutral ice. Wickline banks it off the sideboards and deep into Wildcat territory. Burnett goes behind his own goal. Poikala jams it further, and Rounds is stymied there. He couldn't exit the zone. He pins Wickline to the corner boards. Wickline battling for it with Poikala. Knocked free for Kessel. Looks in front. Shoots from a bad angle. It missed the net. Held in by November's Defenseman of the Month, Cam Clark. Softly plays it towards the right corner. Goes behind the goal. Good deep there by Pataba. Sets up Wickline, who shot from a severe angle, and it was stopped again by Kappelmaster. This time it's Rounds trying to clear. Held in along the boards. Rounds regroups now with it in his own zone. The Brahmas nearly completing a complete change with the Wildcats still on the ice. Sean Giles from the left point turns and flutters one towards the opposite corner. Martin Melberg wheels it in down low, hoping for his fellow Swede and Andren. Instead got the Chicago native Peter Bates. Bates in front, Andren's backhander stopped by Kappelmaster. Second chance from Melberg is stopped again by Kappelmaster, and a penalty will be called against the Brahmas. Talk about a buzzkill for the Lone Star Brahmas. They were all over the Wildcats on that shift, and Melberg just got his stick tied up in Paisan skates and brought him down. The Wildcats will go back to the man advantage, their second Jim Arnold collision power play of the night after having just killed a full 2-minute 5-on-3 penalty. Melberg's going to have a seat. He's pretty frustrated, and who can blame him? Jeff Baum takes the puck deep into his own zone. Davidson peels off on the forecheck, and the Brahmas fall back into the neutral zone trap. Here's Johnny Lazarus. Flies down the right wing and backhands one into the Lone Star zone behind the Brahmas net. Kaspersky looking behind the goal there, and it's jarred loose and all the way out to center. Jeff Baum's going to have to regroup with a quarter of the power play having already expired. Max Reisinger for Austin Albrecht. In across the line. Lazarus is right behind him. Albrecht skates it towards the corner, slides it back to the point. Baum feeds it across. Skate to stick play from Reisinger, in and out of the glove of Kaspersky, and he dives on it to make the save. And boy, that right there is the reason that Max Reisinger is on this power play. He spends so much time after every single practice on the ice, after practice has already come to an end. Reisinger is usually the last player off the ice because he stands over there in the right circle every time and just practices his one-time shot, which is probably the best on this team. He has just continued to practice firing the puck without taking any time in choosing his shot, and he has gotten it down nearly to perfection. 55 seconds remain on the Jim Arnold collision power play. Jake Dalton now manning the point instead of Rounds or Baum. Bolio's got it, decides to go back to Dalton. Here's the shot, blocked by Marabella. Goodsir goes after it. Giles knocks it loose behind. Cam Clark sandwiched by a couple of Wildcats in Poikala and Litviak. 5-man scrum, 3-on-2 favoring the Cats, ensuing behind the net, knocked free, and Wickline's going to get first to it, and he's going to clear without much difficulty. All the way down, Kappelmaster will play it with 22 seconds remaining on the Jim Arnold collision power play as Bolio slams on the brakes and waits for his mates to make a change. Adam Goodsir gains the blue line, and it was knocked off his stick by Cam Clark and cleared all the way down. That's going to just about do it. The Wildcats power play falls to 0 for 2 on the night. As Garrett Van Wy springs Ben Lown down the right wing with tons of speed. Russell wants it. Lown shoots it, soaked up by Kaspersky. Three and a half minutes to go here in period 2. 1-1 the score. 20-11 are the shots on goal favoring the Lone Star Brahmas. And if it were not for number 31 in black, Justin Kappelmaster, this would be an entirely different game, folks. Garrett Van Wy will take the face-off. It's going to be to the left of Kaspersky. Van Wy wins it. Lown chips it back to Russell. Russell for Jeff Baum. Russell wants it back, takes the one-timer, missed the net wide. Lown gets first to it. Near circle, turns and shoots, and it's gloved and held by Kaspersky. Oscar Andren coughs up the puck. Garrett Van Wy played it across for Ryan Burnett. Lown rescues it before it crosses the red line. Look out, Kaspersky falls down, trips up Ben Lown, or Van Wy rather, no penalty. And that's the second time a goaltender has fallen down there on that same exact spot on the ice. Last period it was Kappelmaster falling down there on the left side of your screen in behind the net. So there could be an issue with the ice down there. I was speaking with the Lone Star Brahmas broadcaster Nick Merrick before this game. He and Walt Ruff, the broadcasters for the Brahmas, they were telling me the Brahmas have had some issues on this ice surface throughout the last couple of weeks with it being a little bit choppy. Some of the players have complained they haven't been too happy with it. Russell bats it down and swats it to the right side for Johnny Lazarus. Through the middle for Nick Rosa, who sidesteps a check and drops it off for Albrecht on his off wing, and his shot fought off. Second chance, stopped again by Kaspersky on the rebound. Albrecht holds on, plays it in front. Madej got his stick on it before Rosa could, and here comes Joey Fallon. The Princeton commit flies across the Wichita Falls line, delays, played it across, and Hines tied up Marabella, who couldn't get a shot away. That was Troy York, rather, and Albrecht skates it back the other way, and the puck flops into the stands, and a nice one-handed grab there by the man down in the front row with the red shirt. So we're going to get a stoppage just under 2 minutes remaining in period 2, and the score all knotted up at 1. And folks, again with the sound back on fasthockey.com, as usual, if you would like a shout out throughout this game at any time or likely during the third period, go ahead and send the Wildcats Twitter page a message. Let us know where you're watching from, let us know why you're tuning in, let us know who you are, and I'll be sure to give you a shout out before this game comes to an end. One of those families tuning in tonight is the Gilraith family watching from Grosse Ile, Michigan, Noah Gilraith's hometown. Thank you very much to the Gilraith family for tuning in. We really appreciate your support. As always, we hope you've enjoyed the game that Noah Gilraith is having, and we know you certainly enjoyed his first goal as a Wildcat last Thursday against the Lone Star Brahmas. Very well deserved. He has been an extremely hard worker and a very humble defenseman for the Wichita Falls Wildcats, and a player who's really come into his own on this team after having played with the Point Mallard Ducks of the NA3HL last season, one of the better defensemen in that league. But the NAHL is an entirely different ballgame, and he's adjusted quite well. Puck ends up in the near corner now in the Wildcats zone. The last minute of play is brought to you by La Quinta Inn and Suites, the official host hotel of your Wichita Falls Wildcats, and it looks like there may be a penalty here on this play. Michael Rounds is skating in the direction of the penalty box, and if this is a penalty again against the Wildcats, then boy, they're got to be exhausted at this point. 6 penalties already, one of which was a 5-on-3. This being the 6th, Michael Rounds having a seat, and that's one of their defensemen, folks. Only 5 defensemen available now for this penalty kill. Demontis Cypus, of course, unavailable for this game, or for any of the remaining games before the holiday break, as he is playing he's representing Lithuania in an international tournament. So he will not be available. The Wildcats are down to 7 defensemen on their roster, one of whom is slowly recovering from an injury in Holden Cronin. Noah Gilraith works the puck out to center ice and gains the red line before dumping it in. A quarter of a minute remains in this period. Now a dozen seconds as Cam Clark flies in across the Wildcats line, run into by Reisinger, chopped into the corner for Bates. Bates played it in behind. Dalton's the only one there. He'll shoot it off the boards, and that's going to do it. Period 2 has come to an end. 40 minutes of hockey have expired here at the NYTEX Sports Center. 1-1 remains the score. No scoring took place in period 2. 20-12 are the shots on goal in favor of the Lone Star Brahmas. And when we come back for third period action brought to you by American Classifieds, Michael Rounds will be serving the remainder of a 2-minute minor penalty, 35 seconds of which have already been killed. In the meantime, we're going to take a short break here from the NYTEX Sports Center. When we come back, we're going to have an intermission interview for you with Wildcats veteran winger Max Reisinger. Stay tuned. Falls Wildcats, and I'm joined at the Night Tech Sports Center pregame by Wildcats veteran winger Max Reisinger. Max, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it. Of course. So, Max, you are now in your third season with the team. You've been with the Wildcats longer than anyone else on that bench, including both of the coaches. So, tell us about your experience here.
Yeah, it's been 3 long and great years, and I think it's gotten better every year. I was pretty young when I started out, and since then I've improved a lot. Played with a lot of great players. Was coached by two great coaches, Paul and John. So.
You're actually the only player remaining on this team who began with the Wildcats when they were still coached by Paul Baxter. And when you were coached by him, you played there a bit of a more diminished role, obviously, as a rookie. Played another season last year with under the tutelage of John LaFontaine, and then one last third year here. How has your role evolved over the course of the 3 years you've been here?
It's definitely changed a lot from, being one of the, I was probably the third youngest player, I think, my first year, and you kind of just trying to, play hard and work your way in the lineup, and then last year, I've become a little bit more of an important role, and was out there on power plays and more important situations, so, and I think this year it's just gotten, even better, so.
Well, Max, in your final season, I know after this year you'll definitely be missed. All these years in Wichita Falls, you've made quite a name for yourself in the community, and it will be sad to see you go. But do you have a plan maybe for what is to come?
Definitely trying to go to college still. We had three or four 94s last year who didn't, except Stabby, who had an earlier commit. All three of them pretty much had to wait until the end of the season, and they got their opportunity, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. So.
Well, we, of course, wish the best of luck to you in your future hockey endeavors. We always try to look after our alumni and keep tabs on them as best as we can. So, but Max, I think whatever you choose to do, it'll certainly help to end your stay in Wichita Falls on a high note. And this team undoubtedly has the potential to help give that to you. You've seen a lot with this organization, but what makes this group special?
I think not looking at the team, I think the league and the division has changed a lot, and so I think we have the perfect team that for that change. That the game's kind of more mobile and a little more skilled. And when I came here, my first year was a little more tough and a little more hard nosed. And it's still physical and tough to play, but it's definitely changed. And I think we have the right group of guys here to go all the way.
You grew up playing in Austria. You're from Walding. Um, Not a whole lot of hockey players off the top of my head from Austria, but you made your way over here, and you said it was more rough and tumble at the beginning of your career. The European style is more skill-based, is it not? So does this style of play suit you a little bit better?
Yeah. Well, my first year was definitely a big change. I came from Cleveland,
Welcome back, folks, to our Fast Hockey viewers. We hope you enjoyed the intermission interview with Wildcats winger Max Reisinger, the longest tenured player on the Wichita Falls Wildcats. He will be sorely missed when he retires from the North American Hockey League, or ages out, I guess you should say, at the end of this season. He's been a mainstay with this organization as long as, or longer than anybody else on the bench right now, including both of the coaches and all of the players. Break down a bit of an out-of-town scoreboard for you. The Kenai River Brown Bears have made the long trip to New Jersey to play the New Jersey Titans. The game started out pretty evenly. Kenai actually opened the scoring halfway through the first period, and from there it was all downhill. The New Jersey Titans absolutely dominated the remainder of that game, scored 7 unanswered goals, outshot the Brown Bears 48-32. 7-1 the final in New Jersey. The Aston Rebels defeated the Johnstown Tomahawks by a narrow margin, 3-2 the final of that game. Aston coughed up a 2-goal lead, and they managed to recover late in period 3. Frank Spellman scored the game-winning goal. He was set up by Christopher Spindulis, one of the better scoring defensemen in the North American Hockey League. I believe he led the league in defenseman scoring for quite some time. Not sure if he still does now, with Cam Clark having such a terrific month of November. Take a quick glance at that statistic, and it looks like Bindelis does indeed still lead the NAHL in scoring among defensemen for the Aston Rebels. He's got 23 points, incredible numbers for him. More than half of his assists have come on the power play. 13 power play points, a dozen power play assists, 23 points for Christopher Bindelis, the Riga, Latvia native. Playing Division I hockey at Lake Superior State University. The Fairbanks Ice Dogs took care of the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Knights on the road, 4-3 the final in that game at the Rev Ice Center in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. The Springfield Junior Blues are in Janesville taking on the Jets in southeastern Wisconsin. The Blues have a 3-2 lead late in period 3 over the Janesville Jets in that game. For a South Division update, the Topeka Roadrunners are really taking it to the Odessa Jackalopes, who have struggled majorly of late. The Jackalopes have really had a rough go of it ever since the Wildcats played them and swept them at the Ector County Coliseum a couple of weeks ago. They have struggled. They were actually swept on home ice by the Corpus Christi Ice Rays last weekend. Thank you, appreciate it. Excuse me. And now they are being beaten by the Topeka Roadrunners 5-4 on their own rink. So after a pretty good start to their season, one of the better starts they've had in quite some time, the Jackalopes are, I don't want to say they're going off the deep end here, but they're really starting to fall apart, it seems, a little bit. And the first 4 goals were scored by the Topeka Roadrunners. They opened the scoring. John O'Connor, the defenseman, got the ball rolling about 7 minutes into period 1. Yuhiko Saka, Ryan O'Connor, and Max Harper would all score in the first period. It was 4-0 going into the second frame. Finally, Hampus Shodal on the power play tallied 1. Marcus Russell would answer in period 3. And Cooper Zeck scored a shorthanded goal as a defenseman to get the Jackalopes somewhat back in the game, but they've really got to pick up their pace if they want to have a chance against the Roadrunners, a very difficult team to come from behind against. And a dozen minutes remain in regulation time at the Ector County Coliseum. Meanwhile, out in West Texas, or South Texas, I should say, the Amarillo Bulls are playing the Corpus Christi Ice Rays down at the American Bank Center. That game all knotted up at 1 goal apiece, just like this one. So way done. Third period action has just commenced. Goals in that game scored by Tyler Hall of the Amarillo Bulls on the power play, and Tobias Kircher, the German centerman, also on the power play for Corpus Christi. They're hosting the Bismarck Bobcats. And trail Bismarck by a score of 2-0 up in South Dakota. Former Wildcat Parker Mismash has not gotten himself on the board yet in this game. He did have a penalty, however. But his team is winning. And the Minot Minotauros are in Minnesota taking on the Magicians. That game tied up at 2 goals apiece. The Minotauros have rallied back from behind, scored 2 unanswered, both of which were by Christian Mose. The first of which was unassisted, the second of which was shorthanded unassisted. So Mose really putting the team on his back and getting the Minotauros back in that game. Wildcats fans may remember the Minot Minotauros were one of the biggest challenges the Wildcats have faced all season long. It was in day 1 of the showcase that they pretty much dominated the Wildcats, almost to the degree the Brahmas dominated them in the first period of this game. The only reason the Cats won that game was because of Justin Kapelmaster. They managed to score 1 goal. Jake Dalton shot from the blue line. And then an empty net goal, I believe, was scored later on. But the Minot Minotauros outplayed and outfought the Wildcats in that game. And the Cats were fortunate to sneak out of that game with 2 points and left the Minot Minotauros with none. So 2-2 the score in the Minot game. The Wildcats and Brahmas, of course, tied up at 1. And the Cooley Region Chill playing the defending Robertson Cup champions of 2015, the Minnesota Wilderness, up at the Northwoods Credit Union Arena in Minnesota. 2-0 the score in that game. The Wilderness nearly doubling the Chill in shots on goal, 28-15, and leading them 2-0. Former Wildcats Alex Faulkner and Shane Kuzmeski are both in the game. Kuzmeski is a -1 for the Cooley Region Chill with 1 shot on goal. Alex Faulkner without a shot to his name thus far. That game in its second intermission, just like this one, and it's about 5 minutes from coming to an end. And with that, third period action will be brought your way very shortly. Stay tuned. And welcome back to the NITEX Sports Center, folks. This game tied up at 1. We were just a minute away from third period action, which is brought to you by American Classifieds. The Parkway Grill penalty kill for the Wildcats has been pretty strong tonight, 4 for 5, and they're going to have to kill another minute and 25 seconds as Michael Rounds is in the penalty box for the Wildcats for slashing. A 2-minute infraction on the Wildcats' second youngest defenseman, the 18-year-old out of Mount Pleasant, Michigan. So Adam Goodser, Austin Beaulieu, Jake Dalton, Noah Gilreath on the ice for the Wildcats for the rest of this Parkway Grill penalty kill, or at least part of it. The third period is now officially underway. Cam Clark, Defenseman of the Month, gains the Wichita Falls line and plays it off the stick of Goodser and in deep. Bud Madej holds it in, gets the pass smoothly from Pataba. His blast blocked by Dalton. Dalton banks it off the boards. Noah Gilreath, or Adam Goodser rather, could have a one-on-one with Bud Madej. He just takes the shot and it goes wide. Picked up by Cam Clark again. Clark will carry it behind his own goal and wait for things to develop as the Wildcats complete a shorthanded line change and have killed off about half of the remaining time when the period started. Just 40 seconds remain on the Parkway Grill penalty kill. Van Wy misses the puck. Reisinger did not. Van Wy had it batted off his stick then by Bates. And Baum is back to play it in his own zone. Baum will just sky this one all the way down the ice, and it goes out of play. My goodness, that would have been a delay of game penalty in the National Hockey League. Fortunately for the Wildcats, that rule does not exist at this level, but it will cost the Wildcats a face-off, and they're going to be forced to stay in their own zone. And that was quite impressive. He shot it all the way down the ice and over the end boards from his own zone. And then he steals it. Here's Baum now in neutral ice. He gains the Lone Star line, takes a long, weak shot, sticked aside by Kaspersky. Pops into the corner, and Van Wy was stripped of it by the number 9 in white, Dalton Skelly. Jeff Baum in his own zone now, backhands one up the boards and all the way down, and Estes gives chase to it as time winds down on this Parkway Grill penalty kill. The Wildcats improved to 5 for 6, so a pretty impressive night again on the PK for the Cats. They killed off a full 5-on-3 penalty without giving up a whole lot of scoring chances. Oscar Andrin, the Swedish winger for the Lone Star Brahmas, and their leading scorer, the lone scorer in this game for them, takes over and goes to the bench for a line change. It's given up at center ice, and Dalton's long shot missed the net wide on the far side. Albrecht goes after it on his off wing and tries to chip it down low for Lazarus. Puck comes loose, back to the right half boards. Rosa keeps it alive, at least temporarily, but the Brahmas work it out to center. Lazarus chips it back into Lone Star territory. The 20s line exits the ice, and the part of the 20s line exits the ice. Kapelmaster has it behind his net now. Gave it away, and the Wildcats turn it over. York turns and shoots. Right pad save, Kapelmaster. Knocked into the corner. Lazarus escapes with it. Tries to guide one out to neutral ice, hoping for Austin Albrecht. It was picked off and fired right back in. Goes to the bench for a line change. Coughed up dangerously. Goodser to the rescue. Plays it out to center. He's got Litviak breaking in behind the defense. Litviak couldn't play it into his wheelhouse. It was a bit on edge there, and Clark took advantage. Clark defending Litviak every inch of the way down there. Albrecht still on the ice. He's been out there for quite some time. Troy York stripped him of it and will fire the puck off the near half wall. It went off the linesman, I believe. Berardinelli recovers. Joey Fallon now puts on the brakes, finds the trailer. It's Marabella. Played it towards the corner. The other number 23 will battle for the puck with him. Goodser, and now here's Austin Beaulieu. Beaulieu backhands one into neutral ice where it's batted down by John Zimmerman and dealt on for Dalton Skelly. Skelly gains the red line, wraps it around the end boards. Kapelmaster chops it down there for Michael Rounds. Had his pocket picked, and it looks like he's pinning a man to the boards, and Joey Fallon. That is Hogan Davidson, knocked loose there for Carson Kelly. Kelly battling for it with Garrett Van Wy. Comes in behind, a wraparound try from Kelly is stopped by Kapelmaster and no further play. 16:24 remain in period 3. Still 1-1 the score in favor of nobody. The shots, however, favor the Brahmas by a hefty margin, 22 now to 12. Shots nearly doubling the Wildcats. And the Brahmas will get another chance on an offensive zone face-off, and it's going to be Cody Wickline's line. He's going to be flanked by Kyle Pataba and Peter Kessel. Wickline will take the draw against Poikula, who jumped the gun, so we're going to try this again. By Alexi Poikula. Ryan Burnett. Burnett chips it past Skelly, then goes for the puck. Burnett looked like he was interfered with a bit by Skelly's stick. No penalty against the Brahmas. Pataba takes a hit. There goes Peter Kessel. Manages to work it past Poikula. Baum takes his place and picks up the puck. Good read by Jeff Baum. Burnett gives it across for Alexi Poikula, who's tripped by Pataba, and that's going to be a penalty. Pataba doesn't like the call, but he's going to go. 2 minutes for tripping against number 12 in white, the Air Force Academy commit. He's going to have a seat in the Wildcats with a third chance on the Jim Arnold Collision power play. They are 0 for 2 on the night. Can the third time be the charm? We'll see. The Wildcats have been superb on the power play all season long, second in the North American Hockey League, trailing only the Minnesota Wilderness. Wildcats win the offensive zone face-off and go back to work on the power play as Albrecht's long wrist shot was blocked and it trickled wide of the goal. Paisan and Rosa both going after it. Chipped back to Albrecht, manning the point. Albrecht slides it across. Jeff Baum tries to slip it back door, and it was picked off by Davidson and fired back the other way. Baum's going after it. Berardinelli's going to beat him to it. Kapelmaster played it in behind the net where Baum picked it up. Johnny Lazarus looking for Nick Rosa. It was batted down by Berardinelli, and an offside call is the result against the Cats. 29 seconds have gone by in the power play. Take this neutral zone face-off against Cody Wickline. Wickline wins it. Paisan goes after it. Rosa chips it deep. Knocked off a couple of sticks and back into neutral ice. Jeff Baum takes over. Caught on an offside, and that's going to do it for their first power play unit. And they're being subbed out by the second power play unit. It looks like Alexi Poikula, Adam Goodsir, Austin Bolio, Nikita Litviak, and Michael Rounds. Power play team, and Austin Bolio gains the Lone Star line. Drops it on back to the point. Rounds played it in front. Goodsir slapped it wide. Bolio missed the puck, and Davidson tried to clear, went off the linesman. A fortunate bounce for the Cats. It stays in the neutral zone as a result. Poikula recovers possession. And it was a bit beyond the reach of Austin Bolio. A bit of a rough night for Alexi Poikula, where we've become pretty accustomed to seeing him make tape-to-tape, very crisp and smart passes, and he's had a bit of an off night in that department here tonight. He gets the puck there in the neutral zone. Trickles it in across the line. He goes after it himself, comes together with Zimmerman and falls down. A couple of Brahmas defensemen knock it away from Alexi Poikula and back out to center. Lone Star zone. Skelly's going to be first to it. He ties up Alexi Poikula. Poikula's dispossessed of it by Skelly. Litviak tries to help out his fellow European, and a couple of men collide in neutral ice, and Poikula and Wickline. There goes Marabella, battled away by Bolio. That's going to just about do it for the third Jim Arnold Collision power play of the night for the Cats. They fall to 0 for 3 on the man advantage tonight as Pataba exits the penalty box. A couple of tired skaters still on the ice for the Wildcats. The secondary power play unit now finally taking their steps off the ice. Some of them at least. Puck flopped in and stopped easily by Kapelmaster. Wraith was stripped of it. A centering pass didn't get through. It looked like it was fanned on there by Troy York. And here come the Cats on a counterattack. Van Wy sidesteps Estes. Lost a handle on the puck. He was a bit too fast for his own good there. Reisinger gets it. Couldn't chip it back to Dalton. It was knocked away from him. Gilraith slams it right back off the sideboards. Reisinger chips it ahead, a bit beyond the reach of Van Wy, who's going to hustle after it. He's going to beat out Estes to the puck. Van Wy pinned to the end boards behind the Lone Star net. Lown helping out Estes and Van Wy respectively. Finally, Lown jars it loose, and Fallon's going to get to it for the Lone Star Brahmas. Behind the Brahmas net, the puck is just airmailed all the way down the ice. It's going to go on goal, so no icing as Kapelmaster chops it back into the neutral zone. Garrett Van Wy with Max Reisinger down the right wing side, played it off his stick and into the offensive zone before heading for a line change. Albrecht with a steal, but he couldn't do a whole lot with it there. The puck has just been fired all the way down. Oh, just barely. Icing is the call against the Lone Star Brahmas. It nearly went on goal. Looked like it went off the outside of the post, so icing will still be the call. A dozen minutes remain in period 3. 1-1 the score. 23-12 are the shots on goal. Not sure the Cats have a shot this period. No, they do not. And they've had a power play to work with. Here comes Martin Melberg. Flies down the left wing. Peter Bates goes to the net. It's wrapped around the end boards, and Albrecht picks it up. Albrecht sends Johnny Lazarus off to the races. Lazarus puts on the brakes, feathers it in behind, a bit too far for Rosa. Andrin's going to get to it. Stolen away by Rosa, given right back to Andrin. Andrin and Clark jostling for it along with Nick Rosa. Andrin swings it to the outside for Martin Melberg, who will gain it out to center. Melberg played it beyond the reach of Rounds and all the way down the ice. Rounds goes D-to-D for Matt Hines. Hines shoots one all the way down. That's going to go the length. Icing will not be called because Sean Giles, or Kaspersky rather, had to touch the puck. And the Brahmas, meanwhile, fire it back into Wichita Falls territory. Baum swings it off the boards. Burnett backhands one up into neutral ice, but it was batted down before it could get out there. Somehow it was held in by Kyle Pataba. Russell. One too far for Ryan Burnett. He's going to nullify the icing, however. Kaspersky gets to it first, plays it around the boards. Pizon holds it in right point, plays it towards the corner. Zimmerman is back to get it. 11 minutes now remain in period 3. 1-1 remains the score. The Wildcats with a big steal. Poikola's got it, looking to center. He's got Litviak. He shoots, sticked away by Davidson and out of play. The Rosa family is tuning in to tonight's FastHockey.com broadcast, all the way from Nick Rosa's hometown of Birmingham, Michigan. What I've been told is Nick's favorite brother, Peter. So thank you very much to the Rosa family for tuning in and supporting the Wildcats on FastHockey.com. We really appreciate your support, as always, and watching Nick Rosa have a phenomenal season for the Cats. Hogan Davidson drops it off for Bud Madej, whose shot is sticked away by Kapelmaster, and he gloved it. Good awareness there by Kapelmaster. It bounced off his stick and fired up right towards his face, and he just gloved it down. Good rebound control, and the Wildcats escape with no harm done. And the Brahmas have now just doubled the Cats on shots, 24-12, but the game remains tied as we're just about midway through period 3. Had it bounce off his skates, and it's fired back into Wichita Falls territory. Gilraith for Garrett Van Wy, for Max Reisinger, for Ben Lown. Hopped over his stick. Van Wy rather is back. Puck jumps over Reisinger's stick, and the Brahmas fire it off the glass. It stayed in the zone. The Wildcats will look to capitalize off that odd bounce. Van Wy swings it to the right side for Ben Lown. Lown played it in front, comes to the back. Dalton holds it in. Dalton drops it off. Gilraith hammers a shot. Blocked there by Troy York. It didn't get through, and the Brahmas will escape out to center. Good pick in the neutral zone by Max Reisinger. Kaspersky didn't like what he was seeing in front of him, and who can blame him? So he just covers up that puck after jumping out into the slot. And that's going to take us to our third period of media timeout. And Noah Gilraith getting quite the audience here tonight, or at least the support on Twitter. Lauren Messner tuning in, watching Noah Gilraith and watching the Wichita Falls Wildcats. Thanks, Lauren, for tuning in. We really appreciate your support. Win the defensive zone draw. Albrecht fans on a shot from a severe angle. Long shot redirected by Rosa, and it bounced up off the glass and behind Kaspersky. Albrecht's got it now. He's trying to wedge it free. Patava's handcuffing him there. Albrecht gets first to it, using his speed. Rosa shoots, he scores! A backdoor play, and Rosa made no doubt about it, slammed it home into the empty net. What a work ethic by Austin Albrecht to battle his way onto that puck, and the Wildcats have regained the lead. It's 2-1. That'll be Nick Rosa's 8th goal of the year. Parents tuning in tonight, Lori, Peter, and the rest of the Roses. We hope you enjoyed that goal. Rosa gets another one by going to the dirty areas that not a lot of players are willing to, or certainly don't like to go to. Right to the front of the net, where they're likely to take a couple of cross checks, take a couple of hits from behind, a couple of slashes here and there. Rosa's mentality all season long has been, hey, if it helps the team out, I'm going there, and that's what he's done, and he gets rewarded for it. What a play by Austin Albrecht to set him up. He really worked his butt off on that entire shift. He outfought 3 Lone Star Brahmas to make that play happen. That right there is just one of the reasons he was named November's Forward of the Month. All 3 of November's Players of the Month are in this game tonight. Austin Albrecht, the Forward of the Month. Cam Clark, the Defenseman of the Month. Justin Kappelmaster, the Goaltender of the Month. This is a game that's got all the credentials. Also tons of scouts in attendance here tonight from all sorts of colleges. These two teams to get together, they're almost inevitable. Jake Dalton's wide open at the right point, tries to fake out Davidson. For that, he's one of the better defensive forwards for the Brahmas. Behind the net, Lown is battling for it. Zimmerman knocks it free and way onto Marabella's tape. Marabella shoots it out to center, and Noah Gilraith bats it down. Gilraith does well to kick it to his stick and skates across the Lone Star line. Guides it off there for Garrett Van Wy, goes to the net and turns back towards the point. Left point, whacked into the slot, and Lown fires it wide. Albrecht picks it up behind the Lone Star net. Pinned in behind, Van Wy centered, and Lown fanned on the shot. And the left point had been vacated by Gilraith before the puck worked its way over there. He was swapped there by Michael Rounds, or Matt Hines rather, on the line change. Rounds dumps it into the Lone Star zone. Dalton Skelly picks it up. Less than 7 minutes remain in period 3. The Wildcats lead 2-1. Alex Berardinelli goes after the puck on a delayed offside. He touches it, so the offside whistle is blown. 2-1 the score in favor of the Wildcats. The goals tonight have been scored by Andre Paisan, Oscar Andrin, and Nick Rosa in that order. Hands the puck in behind the Wildcats net. Hines and Pataba come together there. Rosa banks it off the boards. Albrecht shoots it all the way down. This will not go the length for icing. Giles has to hurry back to it. Bud Madej, who predicted that Sean Giles would score his first goal of the season. He made that prediction on Twitter. We'll see if that comes true. If he manages to score, not only would it be his first, but it would be a huge game-tying goal for the Brahmas. If you're the superstitious type, keep your eye on that. Giles goes to the net and shoots. How about that? He just missed the net by an inch. Giles holds it in again, left point, and the alternate captain holds the puck alive. Cody Wickline behind the net turns and centers off the side of the cage, and the centering pass missed Peter Kessel's left skate. Comes back to Giles, who fans on the shot. Albrecht recovers, shoots it harmlessly off the boards. This one going all the way down. No icing against the Cats. Cam Clark wanted one, but the linesman suspected he could have skated a bit faster than he was. So icing was nullified. Troy York lost a handle on it behind the Wildcats net. Poikel up the left wing side for Bolio, who chopped it out to center. Bud Madej hammers it around the glass and into the offensive zone. As the puck has just bounced up over the glass and out of play, and we get a whistle and another stoppage. 5.5 now remain in period 3. The Wildcats nursing a delicate 1-goal lead that was just given to them moments ago by Nick Rosa for his 8th goal of the year. Second point. Melberg turns and shoots from the slot. Easy stick save, Kappelmaster. Andrin goes after it. Backhands it towards the corner. Bates knocks it loose and it goes in behind. A 4-man puck battle ensues down there, but Jeff Baum knocks it loose. Goes after it and sets up Nikita Litviak on the right wing side. Litviak is stymied there by Brandon Estes. Russell goes D-to-D for Jeff Baum. The Brahmas regain possession. They've now got less than 5 minutes to get this game tied. Berardinelli flies after it. Played off the glass by Justin Kappelmaster. Litviak plays it off the skate of Max Reisinger. Reisinger now at center ice, has to turn away from Estes. He pivots and shoots it into the Lone Star zone. No icing. Bates leaves it for Brandon Estes. Estes with his head up. He's defended by Max Reisinger with a watchful eye on him. Estes turns with it now and looks. Shoots it off the boards and out to center. Wedged into Wichita Falls territory. Gilraith's going to go back to get it. Gilraith fires it hard around the boards and it works its way out into neutral ice. Reisinger knocked it free. It works its way onto Lown's tape. He's in across the line. Pressured by Berardinelli. Puck redirected on goal and it's stopped by Kaspersky and he hangs on. The 20s line is back out there. Nick Rosa, Austin Albrecht, and Johnny Lazarus. Noah Gilraith and Jake Dalton on defense. Face-off is won by Wickline. Sean Giles there for Cam Clark. November's Defenseman of the Month hammers it around the end boards. Gilraith chops at it. He falls down behind the Wildcats net. He's in a scrum for possession there alongside Cody Wickline, and it comes loose, works its way back to the point. Cam Clark takes a long wrist shot, redirected on goal, stopped by Kappelmaster. Second chance. Gilraith did well to tie up Peter Kessel and prevent a second chance from being fired on goal. And Gilraith stays on the ice. He didn't like the rush the Brahmas were having there. Knocked it off of Patava's stick, and the puck goes back into neutral ice. Good awareness there by Noah Gilraith. His partner, Jake Dalton, went to the bench for a line change. He saw the Brahmas were coming with numbers. He decided to stay out there. Ryan Burnett, right wing side, shoots, blocker saved. Comes around the boards and out to center ice. Michael Rounds goes across for Poikula. Poikula hammers one around the end boards. Kaspersky slows it down to a complete stop. Oscar Andrin shoots it around the half wall. 3 minutes now remain. We're going to be seeing a goaltender being pulled on the right side of our screen pretty soon. Peter Bates took a horrible shot. It went wide on the short side. Beaulieu chips it out to center. Andrin is on the back check, taking it away from Goodsir. Andrin guides it back out to center ice. Jeff Baum backhands it into Lone Star territory. Estes is going after it, pressured by Litviak. Estes turns and shoots it off the boards. And now here's Brandon Estes. 2.5 to go. The fans here are getting a bit restless. Sean Estes with the puck on his stick now. On his backhand, hauls it into Wichita Falls ice. Jeff Baum flops one all the way down. Beaulieu goes after it. He's hooked by Madej. Beaulieu on his backhand slides it slowly but surely on goal, and Kaspersky made the easy left pad save, and now some helter-skelter going on behind the net. Beaulieu and Bud Madej, the 218s going at it. To take us back a little bit, less than 2 months ago, the first time the Wildcats were in this building this season, well, the regular season, I should say, October 24th, or 23rd, rather. Austin Beaulieu was given a perfect pass by Alexei Poikula, short-handed, nearing the end of the game with less than 3 minutes to go. Poikula airmailed the puck through the neutral zone. It landed in the slot, in the high slot in the Brahmas zone. Beaulieu blew right past Bud Madej, got to the puck first, put it on his backhand, and rifled it into the top corner of the net, beating the goaltender at the time, Corbin Kaspersky. And that would tie the game, which would set up Rourke Russell. That goal set the stage for something perhaps even more dramatic. Rourke Russell's first goal as a Wildcat was the overtime winner against the Lone Star Brahmas. Got some discussion happening by the team captains now. De facto captains, you should say, in this situation. The Wildcats head coach John LaFontaine choosing not to name a captain either of the seasons he's been head coach. A bit of an unorthodox technique, but hard to find fault in his decision-making when the team has played as well as it has under his tutelage. And it looks like there are only four Brahmas, on the ice at the moment. This has been a long, ongoing discussion. Jeff Baum, Hogan Davidson, and Michael Menard, the referee, have been discussing this call for quite some time. Looks like Austin Beaulieu is going to head to the Wildcat sin bin. There's already a Brahma in the penalty box. I can't tell who that is. And we remain 5 skaters aside. The Brahmas have got just over 2 minutes to tie this game. Good forecheck by the 20s line. The Brahmas managed to escape danger. Rosa runs into Joey Fallon. Fallon turns and sends it to nobody in particular, but Cam Clark's going to get to it first. Clark with his head up slides it across on a D-to-D pass for Sean Giles. Giles works his way across the Wichita Falls line, negotiates into the corner, slides it on back on a D-to-D pass for Clark, who hammers a shot, didn't get through Albrecht, chopped out, kept in, Lazarus goes after it. 100 seconds remain in this game. The net to our right is empty. 6 attackers on the ice for the Lone Star Brahmas. Joey Fallon, Peter Kessel, Alex Berardinelli, Cam Clark, Troy York, and most recently Bud Madej on the ice for the Brahmas. No, that's Brandon Estes, rather. Rounds coughs it up in behind. It's loose at the side of the goal, knocked free. Estes hammers a shot, skitters wide on the far side of the goal. And Clark holds it in, puck fired out to center. Estes is going to get to it before Albrecht can, and Clark takes over. 70 seconds remain. Alex Berardinelli across the line on the left wing side. Kessel coughs it up. Goodsir lifts his stick. Goodsir out to center. A shot at the empty net and missed. And that's going to be icing against the Cats. Boy, that is always the risk you take when you aim from down the ice at an empty net. And Paisan extremely upset. He is not happy. He is now giving Adam Goodsir an earful, as well as the coaches. Not sure what the players and coaches are upset about here. John LaFontaine not happy either. I think he wants a timeout. He's signaling for a timeout, and the referee giving it to him. Adam Goodsir took a chance on that empty net shot. He was inches away. You certainly cannot blame him for trying. He didn't really have much of a better play in that situation. He was pressured seemingly in every direction by a few Brahmas in the neutral zone there. So 63 seconds remain in regulation time. If the Brahmas can tie this game, it will likely mean overtime, in which case 3-on-3 will commence. If the Wildcats can keep the puck out of their net for the next 63 seconds, they will win this game and win their 8th consecutive game. Their last loss came at the hands of the Topeka Roadrunners a few weeks ago at the KYC. Their last loss against the Brahmas came way back in October. They're 3-0-1 against the Brahmas this season. The last time the Wildcats lost to the Brahmas, October 24th, it was an overtime goal scored by Alex Berardinelli. And that was the game in which Kapellmaster was given the first blemish on his record. He had been perfect up until that defeat in overtime. John LaFontaine sends out the defensive specialist for this defensive zone faceoff. Adam Goodsir, Nick Rosa, Johnny Lazarus, Jeff Baum. And Michael Rounds on the ice as a long shot is blockered away by Justin Kapellmaster. Goes behind the net. Kyle Patava works it loose in behind there and slides it back to the right point. Held alive. Patava goes back door. Cam Clark's wide open. Hammers a shot. Missed the net wide. Alex Berardinelli's got it. 40 seconds to go. Estes chops it across the ice. Cam Clark turns and pivots and tries to keep it alive at least for a second or two, and he does. Back to the point. Estes wide open. Hammers one. Pad save. Kapellmaster rebound. Clark is in. Backhander. Missed the net short side. In behind the net. Centering attempt. Jumped off of Kessel's shoulder. Slid back to Estes right point, and we've got a hand pass against the Brahmas. Or is it? Indeed it is. I believe they're saying Peter Kessel passed that puck with his hand. So now Dan Wildfang utilizes his only timeout and goes over orders with his troops. He's got just 23.2 seconds to work some magic here. It'll take nothing short of a miracle to put one past Kapellmaster on a neutral zone faceoff with this little time remaining in the game. And the Brahmas are now in serious danger of dropping game 2 of 6 in this 6-game standoff between these two South Division rivals. A 6-game standoff which will preface a very much needed and very well deserved holiday break. There will be no games between December 20th and December 30th for the Wildcats, which is a hockey hiatus there. And in desperate need of, despite how well they've been playing. They've been playing a lot of hockey of late. Neutral zone face-off is underway here, and Adam Goodsir and Joey Fallon jumped the gun a bit there, it looks like. Adam Goodsir Max Reisinger, Johnny Lazarus, Jake Dalton, and Noah Gilraith are tasked with keeping the puck out of the net for the next 22.7 seconds, as is Justin Kappelmaster, of course, and he has done that on 24 of 25 instances here tonight. The linesmen really going at it now with Max Reisinger and Kyle Patava over there in front of the Cats bench. Finally, the puck drops. Fallon wins the draw cleanly. Berardinelli flies across the line. He's offside. Fallon regains possession. This time they're onside. Kessel fans on the shot. Lazarus picks it up near the linesman. Regained by Estes. Given away to Goodsir. He backhands one the length of the ice. Will this go for icing? No, it will not. 8 seconds remain. The Brahmas lead a goal. Fallon flies down the right wing side. In across the line now. Fallon holds and shoots. Blocked by a stick. Went out of play. 0.3 seconds remain on the clock. And the Wildcats are going to win this game, barring a miraculous shot, and most of the Nitech Sports Center now making their way to the exits. .6 seconds now. The Brahmas need an extremely quick shot right off the face-off. Goodsir goes right down in the circle, and that's going to do it. The Cats have won 8 games in a row. They've won 3 straight against the Lone Star Brahmas, who have been heartbroken here in front of their own fans and fall 2-1 at the hands of the first place Wichita Falls Wildcats, despite outshooting the Cats by a significant margin, 25-15. And a disheartened and frustrated Lone Star Brahmas team now skates out to center ice to salute a pretty appreciative North Richland Hills crowd here on this Friday evening on Teddy Bear Toss night. We're going to take one last short break here from the Nitech Sports Center in North Richland Hills, Texas. When we come back, we'll give you one last out-of-town scoreboard and break down this game in a bit greater detail in just a few minutes. Stay tuned. Okay, folks, welcome back. Time for just one last out-of-town scoreboard and one last update from our game before we let you get going and enjoy your Friday night. Once again, it was New Jersey defeating the Kenai River Brown Bears after the Bears made a really long trip from Alaska, and they actually jumped out to a 1-0 lead in New Jersey and were quickly silenced. 7 unanswered goals for the Titans, who skated to a 7-1 win. The Aston Rebels hosted the Johnstown Tomahawks, defeated the Hawks by a score of 3-2 out in Aston, Pennsylvania. Despite coughing up a 2-goal lead, they managed to get the game winner late in period 3. The Fairbanks Ice Dogs took care of business in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, taking down the Scranton Knights by a score of 4-3. The Springfield Junior Blues lost to the Janesville Jets. The Jets came back from behind to win. They scored 2 unanswered in the third period. Kip Hoffman got the game-winning goal. The Jets win that game 4-3. The Odessa Jackalopes were blown out at their own rink at the Ector County Coliseum in Odessa in West Texas. 7-2 the final score. The Topeka Roadrunners really took care of the Jackalopes out at the Ector County Coliseum. The Corpus Christi Ice Rays, meanwhile, hosted the Amarillo Bulls tonight, defeated them by a score of 2-1. Regan Kavanaugh was responsible for the game-winning goal in that affair. The Aberdeen Wings hosting the Bismarck Bobcats. They were defeated 3-0 by the road team here tonight. And the Minnesota Magicians really jumped out and lit the lamp 4 more times after our last update we gave you when the score was 2-2. They outscored the Minot Minotauros 4-1 in period 3, en route to a 6-3 victory over Minot. The Coulee Region Chill being shut out currently by the Minnesota Wilderness at the Northwoods Credit Union Arena up in Minnesota. Looks like Dominic Florian finally opened the scoring for the Coulee Region Chill, but they're still trailing by 3 goals midway through period 3. not least, your game, the Wichita Falls Wildcats and the Lone Star Brahmas. 2-1 the final here in suburban Fort Worth and North Richland Hills, Texas. Andre Paisan opened the scoring with the first shot. The Wildcats took on goal the entire game, and it was a goal. 1-0 was the score early in period one, or one, I guess I should say. Oscar Andrin quickly answered the call. 1 minute and 3 seconds later, he buried one high on the glove side of Justin Kappelmaster. It was a perfectly placed shot. Oscar Andrin really having a bit of a difficult time adjusting without his fellow Swedish line mates from last season, Ludvig Larsson, Sebastian Vidmar, who was the league MVP last season, but he really lost his talent. That much is for certain. Oscar Andrin with a beautiful shot to beat Kappelmaster glove side. And to beat Kappelmaster glove side, you pretty much need a perfect shot. Finally, Nick Rosa got the game-winning goal after being set up on a backdoor pass from Austin Albrecht to the Wildcats en route to a 2-1 victory, their third straight against the Brahmas, their 8th consecutive overall win here tonight. Once again, folks, I sincerely apologize for the issues on fasthockey.com. We really hope you enjoyed the broadcast. We know you enjoyed the outcome. 2-1 the final in favor of the Wildcats. And again, we hope you can join us tomorrow night as the Wildcats play in this very building once more before heading back to Wichita Falls, Texas. Tomorrow night's coverage begins at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. That's going to wrap it up from here, folks. I'm Alex Von Coydle on behalf of the Wichita Falls Wildcats saying thank you. We apologize for the inconvenience. Thank you so much for your understanding and for your patience, and we hope to have you tune into our game tomorrow night. So long, everyone.